Had if I told you that something happened in qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix that left the entire paddock completely baffled, and that Lewis Hamilton himself was the one who confirmed it? Because after seeing George Russell's lap, many teams began to ask themselves the same question. How is it possible that the Mercedes W17 is generating so much advantage in a single lap? Subscribe to continue uploading more of this type of content now. If we continue. Hamilton revealed it bluntly. It's not just about aerodynamics or perfect car fit. According to him, Mercedes is exploiting something much deeper within its car when it comes time to attack the classification. Something to do with the way they release power and manage energy at the exact moment it counts. And the most worrying thing for the rest of the teams is that, if this is true, it could be an advantage that no one else on the grid has right now. The Friday of the Chinese Grand Prix began with a strange atmosphere inside the paddock. It was only the second race of the season, and there were already many open questions about the true performance of each team. The sprint format added even more pressure, because the engineers only had one practice session to understand the behavior of the car before facing qualifying directly. That meant any technical advantage could make a huge difference right from the start of the weekend. In this context, the first signs began to appear during training. While some teams were still struggling to find the correct tire temperature window and adjust the balance of their cars, the Mercedes began to show something different. George Russell quickly moved to the top of the timesheets, setting competitive records even when the track was still evolving and grip was limited. But what was truly surprising was not simply that the Mercedes was fast. What caught attention was how he built the fast lap. Russell seemed to gain time in areas where it is normally very difficult to make such clear differences: the long straights and accelerations after slow corners. At the Shanghai circuit, this is especially important because its huge back straight tends to expose any weaknesses in power or energy management. Engineers from other teams began to look closely at the partials. Something didn't quite add up. While some cars lost speed towards the end of the straights due to running out of available electrical power, the W17 seemed to maintain a much more constant power delivery. This behavior made the car continue pushing even in the last meters of the long straights, where hybrid systems normally begin to limit the available power. It was at that moment when Lewis Hamilton left one of the most revealing statements of the weekend. The seven-time world champion explained that Mercedes' advantage in qualifying is not solely due to good aerodynamic balance or successful chassis tuning. According to him, the key is in the way in which Mercedes is exploiting its hybrid system when the lap arrives. Hamilton noted that the team has found an extremely efficient way of managing the energy available throughout the lap. This means recovering energy very effectively when braking, storing it correctly and deploying it exactly at the moments where the car can gain the most time. This precision in energy management is what allows the W17 to maintain more constant acceleration and a higher top speed compared to several of its rivals. This detail may seem small, but in modern Formula One it is absolutely crucial. Hybrid systems have very strict limits on how much energy they can use in each revolution. If a team can better optimize that flow of energy, it can turn every fastball into a real-time advantage. And in qualifying, where everything is decided in a single perfect lap, that kind of efficiency can translate into several tenths of a difference. What surprised the rival teams most was that this advantage appeared very clearly in the hands of George Russell. The Briton managed to extract the full potential of the W17 during qualifying, proving that the car has extremely strong performance when the team unleashes its full potential for a fast lap. That lap left many engineers reviewing data and telemetry trying to understand where exactly the difference was. Hamilton, however, was also very honest in making an important distinction. He explained that this advantage is especially visible in qualifying, when the car can use its full power without worrying about tire degradation or long-term pace management. In racing conditions, the outlook may be different, because other factors such as car balance, thermal management and tire wear come into play. Still, the message he left Friday in Shanghai was very clear. Mercedes might have found a way to maximize its qualifying performance in a way that other teams have yet to match. And in Formula One, starting from the front is often half the battle won. After qualifying in Shanghai, the conversation inside the paddock began to revolve around a very specific question. Where exactly does the Mercedes advantage in a fast lap come from? Because when engineers began to review the data sector by sector, the pattern began to become evident. The W17 was not only competitive, it was finding time in areas where normally the differences are minimal. The Shanghai circuit has a characteristic that makes it a perfect laboratory for detecting technical strengths. It combines long corners, very demanding traction areas, and one of the longest straights on the calendar. In this type of layout, any weakness in power or energy management is immediately exposed. And that was precisely where Mercedes began to attract attention. Lewis Hamilton explained that the secret of the W17's performance in qualifying is not in a single element of the car, but in the combination between the engine, the hybrid system, and the way in which the team manages the energy during the launched lap. According to him, Mercedes has managed to optimize the use of electrical energy much more efficiently than several of its rivals. This means they can deploy power at key moments without running out of energy before finishing the straight. In modern Formula One, this aspect is absolutely decisive. Current cars use complex hybrid systems that recover energy during braking and then release it during acceleration. However, that energy is limited. If a team doesn't properly manage that flow during the lap, the car can lose power just when it needs it most. Many cars suffer precisely that on long straights. They begin acceleration with great force, but in the last few meters they lose thrust because the electrical system has already exhausted its charge. Mercedes seems to have found a way around that problem. The analyses that circulated after qualifying suggest that the W17 manages to maintain a much more constant power delivery throughout the entire straight. This avoids the famous clipping phenomenon, when the car runs out of electrical power before reaching the braking point. That difference may seem small on paper, but on a circuit like Shanghai it becomes a huge advantage. Each long straight can represent several tenths of a second if one car maintains its power until the last meter while another begins to lose speed before braking. But the Mercedes advantage does not end there. Another point that began to be mentioned within the paddock is the behavior of the W17 chassis when the drivers attack the limits in qualifying. The car seems to allow very late braking without losing stability, which gives drivers like George Russell the confidence to take more risks in the corner entry areas. That detail also explains why Russell was able to extract so much performance from the car during qualifying. When a car combines great braking stability with strong acceleration when exiting corners, the driver can build an extremely aggressive lap. And that's exactly what happened in Shanghai. Russell's midterms reflected that balance. He gained time on hard braking, maintained speed in the technical areas, and then exploited the display of power on the long straights. That combination made his return one of the most talked about of the weekend. The interesting thing is that this advantage was not necessarily on the rivals' radar before the Chinese Grand Prix. Many teams had focused their attention on McLaren and Ferrari after the start of the season, while Mercedes appeared to still be in the technical rebuilding phase. But what happened in Shanghai changed that perception. The performance of the W17 in qualifying made it clear that Mercedes could have found a very specific strength that other teams have not yet managed to replicate. And when that happens in Formula One, the reaction from the rest of the paddock is usually immediate. Start analyzing data, studying telemetry, and trying to find out exactly what the rival is doing differently. Because if Mercedes has really found a more efficient way to manage energy in qualifying, the consequence could be very important for the rest of the season. And what worries rivals the most is not just the speed of the W17, but they still don't know exactly how Mercedes is achieving it. The Chinese Grand Prix qualifying left much more than a simple battle for pole. What happened in Shanghai revealed a very important clue about the true potential of the Mercedes W17 when the most critical moment of the entire weekend arrives: the fastest lap. And the most surprising thing is that it was Lewis Hamilton himself who put on the table the detail that has set off all the alarms within the paddock. As the Briton explained, Mercedes has managed to optimize the way it uses its hybrid system and the energy available during a fast lap, achieving a much more efficient power delivery on long straights. That difference, although it may seem small from the outside, is enough to mark tenths of a second in a sport where thousands decide everything. George Russell's performance in China was the clearest proof of this. His return made it clear that the W17 can become an extremely dangerous machine when its full potential is unleashed in qualifying. And in today's Formula One, where overtaking is increasingly complicated and grid position is key to controlling the race, that advantage can become a decisive tool for the rest of the season. However, there also remains a big unknown. Mercedes appears to have found a very specific strength in qualifying, but it remains to be seen whether that advantage can be maintained on different circuits and under different conditions during the championship. What is certain is that what happened in Shanghai has changed the perception within the paddock. Teams like Ferrari, McLaren, and Red Bull now know that Mercedes could have a technical weapon that they have yet to match. And if that advantage in qualifying is confirmed in the next races, the big question will no longer be whether Mercedes is back in the fight. The real question will be how far the W17 can go as the championship begins to enter its most decisive phase. Subscribe to continue uploading more of that content. Now you really think about all this.